Well, good afternoon. We're gathered here on a day we've been waiting for about 30 years or so. And so I'm here with Chad Meyer, the head of North Point from Kansas City, and Councilman Scott Benson and Curtis Johnson, the man who's doing the demolition. Behind me was the Hudson Motors plant. It was built about 100 years ago when the big three, as we all know, were Ford, Chevrolet, and Hudson. And in the 1950s, as Hudson went out of business as a motor car company, General Motors took it over. And up until the 1980s, GM operated here. It was known as a Cadillac stamping plant, but GM shut down when they moved in to the Detroit Hamtramck plant. And for the last 30 years, there's been some small-scale activities, but by and large, this factory has been empty for 30 years. And what should be a prime site for jobs in the city of Detroit, sitting off of 94 in Gratiot between the Jeep plants and the General Motors plant. Instead, we've had a site that has been a site that's been a national embarrassment. And so you know the sites that we've been known for, the train station, the Bud plant, the Cadillac stamping plant. It's still got something to do with the Packard plant. But this has been a high priority for this city, to take it from a site of blight to a site of jobs. And I'm really pleased that North Point is here. They think we're going to have 400 to 500 people working on this site before too long. And so for decades, Detroit's been looking for the company that can redevelop it and put it to work. And I want to introduce the man who finally made it happen, Chad Meyer, the CEO of North Point. Chad?
Well, thanks, Mayor. Didn't know I was speaking today, so I really appreciate it. No, this is Curtis here does some beautiful work, wouldn't you say? Looks great. No, this has been a long time coming. We've been looking at this site for a couple of years, and Detroit has a lot to offer. It's got a great population, great labor force immediately available, and more importantly, which is getting more and more rare, a city and a staff that's willing to roll up their sleeves and shake hands and make a deal happen. So I do want to say that we work with companies and cities, and more important, municipalities all over the country, from coast to coast, and not many step up in the way that Detroit has. And so when we first met with the city staff and ultimately the mayor and told them about our vision to basically take, the defunct automotive manufacturing from decades ago and hopefully be able to redevelop and rebuild what's going to be the future of automotive manufacturing back on this side. It was really exciting to find a city that shared the vision and believed in the city and the people of Detroit as much as we did. So really grateful. I will say that the Lions should be happy. Jared Goff ought to be happy that the Lions didn't meet Kenyatta, because when it comes down to quarterbacking a project, not many people can quarterback the way she can. So really want to appreciate all the efforts that Kenyatta and the mayor and the staff and everybody, the councilmen and women have put forth to make all this happen, because again, we're just a small piece of the puzzle, and without everybody working together with the support of the city, the local community, the residents surrounding, and then ultimately the large corporate occupiers that we expect to be able to announce here pretty soon, none of this would have happened. So I really appreciate everybody's support, and again, I can't tell you how refreshing it is to show up and work with the city and a staff that a promise and a handshake actually means something. So we're just proud to be part of this all. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Chad. So this was in our demolition plans to take down at a cost to city taxpayers of probably between $5 and $10 million. And then we were going to have a vacant site. Before North Point came up and said, we'll pay to knock it down, and we'll build on the site, we'll bring jobs to the site, which of course in the city of Detroit means that's a difficult approval process. But fortunately, this was in District 3, and Councilmember Scott Benson, from beginning to end, shepherded us through this process in a pretty drama-free approach. And so my partner in all this, we couldn't have gotten it done without him, Councilman Scott Benson.
Thank you, Mayor. is an honor and a privilege to come before everybody today to talk about another great project and investment in the city of Detroit, and especially the 3rd District. And so, as many of you know, this location had been an eyesore and a blighting influence for decades with nothing happening. And so once you have DEGC, you bring in the Jets, you bring in the administration, and you bring in my colleagues and the community, we were able to work together, make this a stronger project, and make it a successful project. And so that's all what's very, very important. And then to have Detroit at Work partner with the developers to ensure that we prioritize Detroit residents moving forward, that's huge. And that's how you do development in the city of Detroit. And that's how we move the city forward. We employ our residents, and we make sure that we grow our general fund, which is how we provide the services that Detroiters have become accustomed to. But part of that is making sure that we have companies that are prepared to do the work that we need done in the city of Detroit right here. And intercity contracting is one of those. And so when you have an owner like Curtis Johnson, who is from Detroit, born and raised here, and hires his crews right here in the city of Detroit that can help take down this hulk of an eyesore to make sure that we're able to hire more Detroiters, that's how you do development, and that's what we're doing as a city of Detroit. So it's just an honor for me to be here, 3rd District City Councilman, and introduce Curtis Johnson from Intercity Contracting, who are doing all this great demolition work right here in the city of Detroit.
Well, good afternoon, family. First of all, I just want to give thanks to God, the administration, Mayor Duggan, North Point Development Corporation, and all their team members. City Council, the mayor gave us some history about the building. I can give you some recent history. You know, you kind of watch the City Council meetings a little bit more intensely when your livelihood is involved. And I was happy to see that this is one project that won unanimous support. That means 9 members came together with the administration and decided to get something done. I'm also surrounded by the individuals that are helping me with this project. I'm nothing without my team. So I have Steve with me, and I'm gonna give him a clap if you guys want. I got Jesse, I got Sammy, I got Lamont, and I got Michael, the demolition artist. And collectively, we're able to engage and do this project together. The North Point development has just been a joy to work with. I get paid on time. They treat me right. Tim Condor's been a blessing to work with. So, you know, a guy like me, you know, who tries to keep it as real as it can be, who have people buried in that cemetery over there, who has a child that's 26 years old that went to daycare in one of those houses that just got tore down on Elmdale Street. I'm passionate about this. The city, the residents have highly invested in this community, and now we're getting a return under Mayor Duggan's leadership. I mean, this isn't no plaything to me, okay? I got kids here. I go to church here. I got other businesses here. I bet heavily on the city of Detroit, and by the grace of God, it's getting paid off today.
Okay, and so our most
hiring Detroiters. Sorry about that, Mayor.
our most eloquent speaker is a demolition contract. All I tell you is Detroiters are multi-talented. Any questions? Nicole, somewhere Nicole Sherrard Freeman is. Nicole, raise your hand. So Nicole's going to make sure Detroiters are working in this facility when it's built, and she's been a huge part of this too. Chip.
Have you ever had a contractor give you a real timeline? Yeah, no, I think we're trying to wrap up demolition by sometime in the fall. As soon as we get demolition done and some of the remediation take care of, we'll start. And I think we're planning on about this time next year, you'll see a building standing, and hopefully shortly after that, you'll see people showing up to work every day. I don't think I heard you. No, I can't. We can't share that yet. But give us a few weeks or so, and I think we'll have some pretty good news for you soon. Of course, but again, I would say the city's been very supportive. State of Michigan's got good programs to handle remediation, and then, of Curtis and his group with some of the stuff that was left in the buildings have been, masterful at that. So really, it's stuff we run into. It's just kind of the course of business for brownfield remediation. But again, you can't beat the site and the surrounding demographics for, being able to staff this. So when there's demand, there's always a way through it. So no problem so far.
Nicole, you want to come up? I don't know if you can hear the question.
That was the Creel question.
Yeah. So Nicole, why don't you talk about the Detroiters being hired during construction and what you expect to happen after this?
Sure. So, thank you for the question. So we make it a point to reach out to all contractors, all demo contractors, anybody working on any of this kind of work, to put Detroiters at the front of the line through Detroit at Work. What we are really excited about today is that North Point has already made a commitment that the tenant who occupies this space will give priority to Detroiters in the same way that we did with Stellantis, formerly FCA, in the same way that we're doing with Universal and Flexingate and so many other priority hiring agreements for Detroiters that the mayor worked out. And so we'll follow that same process to give priority to Detroiters for the positions at this plant once the tenant is announced and once it's ready to roll.
Don't go far.
Kenyatta, you want to come talk about the tax incentives?
You're in the process of learning who really put this deal together. So, Kenyatta, why don't you talk about the tax structure here?
Good afternoon, and thank you for the question. Yes, there is tax incentives that are involved with this project. The project is receiving a PA 198 tax abatement, which is an industrial tax abatement. These are tax abatements that have been around since the 70s, and it's done on most industrial projects in the city. In addition, the project is receiving a brownfield tax credit. The brownfield tax credit allows North Point to recoup some of the investment they're making in the remediation and the demolition of this site. Yeah, my name is Kenyatta Harrison Bridges, Executive Vice President of Economic Development and Investment Services for Detroit Economic Growth Corporation. Thank you.
Close in case they have another question.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions for Kenyatta or Nicole? Yes. Right. Go ahead. His question is, why would you take a chance on so much money you're putting into the property?
We're just not smart enough to be afraid of anything is the real answer. But, we do take a pretty data-driven approach to where we do make this investment. Again, there's tens of millions of dollars, frankly at risk here or being invested here. We hope it all comes back. But what we do when we look at investing into a new market, and frankly, we've been trying to get into Detroit for about 3 to 4 years. It's harder than anybody would have thought. A lot of the land is controlled by private ownership, and a lot of land is challenged because you have to tear down old buildings and remediate, contamination, things like that. But ultimately, what we saw was we do study labor demographics pretty extensively, and when you map, out where the labor that would be required for whether it be an e-commerce type facility or a manufacturing type facility that we hope to land here, this area was surrounded, and frankly, there's a lot of this workforce that could walk to work, which, back in 50s, 60s, 70s, that was a source of pride where, mom and dad could pack their lunch boxes and walk to work, and this is a prime example of that. And so the availability of a workforce was a prime driver, because anymore, a lot of these big corporate occupiers let HR tell them where the buildings are going. It used to be you go build a building, of course the labor's going to be there and you'll have all the employees you could ever want. Well, that's not the case anymore. Unemployment's down, but really there's a need for a workforce that can be trained or is already skilled, that could be, here and available. And when you're talking 400 to 500 employees, that's a pretty major obstacle to overcome. And so we let the data do the driving from a labor availability standpoint, and then we just look at the general market fundamentals. And Detroit's gotten a little bit of a bad rap over the last couple of decades, but frankly, there's still millions and millions of people in the metro area. You got awesome infrastructure from utilities to roads and interstate system. And again, when you see the resurgence from corporations like GM, Ford, Fiat Chrysler, and others, there's going to be more and more demand created. And so as the economy has evolved, I think Detroit to us has been on our radar for 3 to 4 years. We've just been unsuccessful at finding a way into the city. But frankly, through all the partnerships we formed here, this came to fruition. And again, just bear with me for another month. We'll have some more good news here soon. But, basically this checked every box that we look for from where you want to make a heavy investment like this. So it's about as smart of an answer as I can give you. I'd give it over 50% on a tenant, but I promise you I cannot say anything more than that. But we're working hard. We're working every day. And again, there's a lot of good corporate partners within the city, a lot of in the automotive industry that have made huge commitments to the immediate area. And we're trying to basically just bolster and expand on those commitments and support the OEMs that are here. But we can't make any commitments to this point, but I promise you we have not taken our eye off the ball on getting here.
We'll be back here in a month or so with a tenant.
Promise.
Anything else? All right, thank you all very much.